Hello, everyone. We are Freelance and Friends, and I am Maria.
I'm Anna.
We have this podcast about freelancing and friendship and how it is to work in the creative field. And
Yes.
we have today like a kind of an update episode because maybe as you have noticed, many of you, we recorded quite a lot of the episodes in May, and it's now
Like in
been a few
springtime,
months.
yeah.
Hmm.
Mm.
And we just kind of want to we haven't talked together for a while, actually, so we just kind of want to
No.
catch up a bit
You've been
about what has been going on.
traveling.
Yeah, you've been working a lot.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, today we're just going to have a bit of an update episode and talk a bit about what's been going on and how it's been with the creative work as well during the
Yes.
summer.
Yes.
So, how have you been, Anna?
Whew. I've been busy. I mean, it's been really, really busy. June was such a crazy month. I'm still kind of like mind blown about how well it went in June. Because actually
Really?
June has been my best month ever.
Ever?
Ever. Like in all
Really?
my 7 years in a shop, it's my best month.
That's
It
so
is.
crazy.
I know. It's I didn't expect it at all. Uh so yeah, so it feels very like relieving. I feel like I'm so relieved that this is actually working since this is my first summer as a solo shop owner. It's kind of like I know I can do this now. I know this is like something I can do for a long time, and it just feels so. It's so nice to know that I'll be able to do it.
I'm
Yeah.
really, really happy for you. That's super cool to hear. Because you have been kind of nervous about starting your own shop, even though you knew you wanted to do it and everything. But it's
Yes.
like the first year is probably gonna be like a bit of a hassle, and then the
Yeah.
first year is super good. That's so nice.
It's so good. Yeah. And
Oh,
I
wow.
knew it would be more expenses as well. Like since before, when I shared all the expenses with two other people, it of course was like less expensive to run a shop. And now all the
Mm,
expenses is on me. So I knew that I had to plan a little bit ahead to just be aware that I might like suffer a little bit of a blow the first year until I like would settle in. But now it feels like this is good. This is okay.
this sounds really good.
Yeah.
But is it? Am I allowed to like ask what you? What did you earn this from the sales? This month? We
Like
can
in
take it out
in
of the podcast
June,
if you don't want. Yeah. I'm just
I
really
earned
curious as a friend.
I earned over 100,000.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Norwegian krowners for those.
Norwegian kroners. Not. Oh my god, can you imagine if it was dollars?
Yeah.
Would have been like twice
Then
as
it would
much
have been
as
a
my yeah.
really good month.
Whew.
That's amazing. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I know that they expected it to be a really really busy summer tourist wise,
Mm,
and even though I don't really like cruise ships, there's been a lot of cruise ships in
mm.
town, and I think especially like after the pandemic, people really want to travel, and now that the Norwegian kroner is so weak, it's like it's less expensive for people to shop in Norway for once. Because
Yeah.
usually Norway is so expensive for people in other countries. So
Mm.
I think it's just like a perfect accumulation of people wanting to travel, Norwegian kroner being weak. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess like yeah, it seems also like there's been a pandemic, a lot of people want to travel now, and then I imagine in other countries there's guides saying like if you want to go to Norway, this is the time
Yeah.
because the Norwegian kroner is so weak right now. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's there should be some advice out there, in the world for people to
Probably.
go
Yeah.
here now. So it seems like there is more tourists. I think so too.
Mm. It's been a little bit like back and forth in politics about adding like a cruise ship tourist tax. so that
Yeah.
people has to pay to actually be in town for the amount that they are. Um, but also, like, there's been articles stating that most of the cruise ship tourists don't really shop that much in town.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Most of them don't.
yeah, so I'm kind of excited on like what's going to happen forwards, because I don't think cruise ships make up a big amount of what I earn. So like my environmentalist heart is hoping that it will be less cruise ships in town.
Yeah. But your business heart is like,
Yeah, I know. My business heart is a little bit like, but since it seems like they don't shop a lot anyways, like very rarely they shop anything over like, yeah, 200 kroners, Norwegian
mm,
kroners. So it's a little bit like, yeah, I don't know how to feel about it, but I think it's going to be good anyways if the cruise ship industry took a bit of a hit.
yeah. Yeah. I guess also it depends on where they go. I don't know. I agree, like environmentally wise, it's not very good, but it's also like some of them go to these small fjords where it's just crazy that this cruise ship can even fit in this fjord. I
They
don't know.
take
Then it
up the
becomes,
whole space.
yeah. Then it's like, wow. I don't know, but it's like when it's in Bergen, and yeah, it's still a problem. But it's like
Mm,
there's already a lot of boats and ferries and everything in the fjord there,
true.
so it's like
Yeah, when
still
you're a
very
harbor,
polluted.
it's kind of like you have to deal with the cruise ships and you have to deal with boats and ships like
Yeah,
stopping by because it is a harbor.
it is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's not the worst place for it to anchor, but
Yeah.
yeah. But it's good that that people have been stopping by your shop. That's so nice.
Yes. And there's so many people that like so many people stop by and say, "Oh, I saw you on YouTube with your friend Maria." And
Nice.
it's all the time and they're so sweet. It's so funny that like I I don't really get surprised anymore when they say like, "Oh, I saw you on YouTube." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah.
yeah. It's becoming a
Yeah,
normal
yeah.
thing
I
now.
I know." But yesterday, like a girl also stopped me and was like, "Where's Boomy? I can't see Boomy." And he was like right underneath my desk, and I'm like, "He's here." She was like, "Ah!" So like, Boomy is still the star of the show.
That's so nice. I
Yeah.
felt like it was kind of funny when when I was in Bergen last time and we recorded that podcast, the last one that you guys have heard. Uh, After we finished that podcast, Anna had to open her shop, and I think like almost like 10 minutes after we opened, there was this guy that came through the
Yes.
door, and he looked at Anna, and he was like, I was sitting there in the sofa, and he looked at Anna, and he was like, I've seen you in this video that your friend made. And I was like, maybe you
And I was
mean
pointing
the
at
video
you
I made?
like, her? Her? Do you mean her?
And he was like, he looked over at me almost like he was almost a bit disappointed to find me there. He was like, oh, yeah, yeah, you.
Oh my
And it was
gosh.
so funny because it kind of became apparent eventually that, like, this is my theory. Like, I think he saw that video and he was like, wow, that's a beautiful girl, about Anna. And not me, but Anna. And then he was like, I'm gonna go to this shop because of this girl. So the video really did matter to him, and he
Oh
was
my
not like a subscriber or anything. But he saw it because he was traveling in Bergen, and then he went to the shop to try and like, yeah, bring you with him for his
god. That
travels.
I think that's a good theory, even though it's painfully awkward.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
We figured we should write underneath the video that Anna has a boyfriend. So, but just so everyone knows, she has a boyfriend.
I do have a boyfriend. I do. I do. I'm in a happy relationship. Oh,
Uh, yeah, it was kind of funny.
yeah.
And also, it was like really fun for me as well because he was there. We were talking with him for a while, and then like 4 other people came. Also, I think they were
That
from
had
the United
also seen
States.
the video. Yeah.
Yeah, so suddenly like everyone in the shop was like, "Oh, I've seen the video." Or like
Yeah. How did that feel for you?
it was
Being
really
like,
fun.
yeah, since you are the creator of the video, how like, and you haven't really met that many people that have seen
Mm.
your work and don't really know you, you know?
Yeah, it's a bit strange, but it's nice. I think most of the people that come to your shop, from what I understand, are people that watched the video now because they were traveling to Bergen and they just
Mm,
like for it. So not that many people that have been like subscribers for a while. There are some of
no.
those, but not all
Mm.
of them. Most of them seem to be tourists that just were like looking up something. And it's just I don't know. I just feel like it's fun that it's working out, that it's like that
Yeah.
people find it and that it's helpful for them when they're traveling to Bergen, and also that they like it that much, so they actually decide to go to one of those places that I have recommended, which is your shop, which is I think that's really fun. I think it's nice.
And all of them say that they preferred your video so much more than others because you have that personal approach. Since you have lived in Bergen and you know, you're not like a tourist that goes to a city and is like, oh, these are the 5 things a tourist should do. It's like you know really well what is worth a look in Bergen
Yeah,
and your time. And
yeah,
the way you just like bring us along in that video, it's so like, oh,
yeah.
let's hang out together, let's explore my city in a
Yeah, I
way.
think when I was looking up other videos about Bergen, I felt like there wasn't actually that many videos that were more like that, more I don't know, personal or just
Mm,
there were a lot of those like almost like a tourist company has been making them, like
yeah,
there's just a
with drone
picture of
footage and
yeah, and then there's this voiceover with this very like generic voice. I don't know, there was a lot of those, so I think there wasn't that much competition. But yeah, it's funny though because I didn't really know that it was gonna work out that way. The video, like I was just making it just because that was a good timing for me to do it since I was in Bergen, and then it's kind of been going really well, the video, and also the fact that people stop by your shop is like,
yeah,
wow.
yeah. I'm really happy about it. I've been telling people like she should make a part two,
Yeah.
a part two of what to see in Bergen, and I should still be in it. No.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I should make a part two because I mainly went to the kind of typical tourist places in Bergen. There are a lot of places that could be fun, I think, for people to go to.
Mm,
And also, if you are going to Bergen, I actually would rather recommend Ulriken than Frøyen.
yeah,
It's just
I
that
agree.
you don't have time for it usually if you just have one day. So it was more like this one day.
I had to go in and check like how many views you had just to like think like has there been that many people as it's like as views, because it felt like there was so many, like at some point there were like five different like groups of people in one day that stopped by like, oh, I saw you on YouTube, and it's like what,
Wow,
it's like
crazy.
every week.
That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
Hmm, it's
So
shocking.
how about you, what have you been up to?
Oh yeah, I've been up to a lot of things really. I haven't been sitting still much. I feel like it's been a busy holiday.
Yeah.
So we had this. There was like the last tour of the season, basically, because after that there is like a summer holiday for the schools. So then we also kind of have summer holiday from touring. And we had 3 days that we were gonna teach in Vadsø and Tana, which is in Finnmark. And Finnmark is like for the people that aren't Norwegian. It's the furthest north you get in Norway. Um, it's like the county that is the furthest north in Norway, and it's it's also where like there's a lot of Sami people there and also a lot of kvener, which is also another language than Norwegian. And they're also like a national minority group. And actually, there was like a Kven festival in
Wow.
Vadsø when we were there, and we were invited to have the workshop in the festival as well, which was really nice. So we started out on Sunday, like having a workshop there with just like kids and adults and everything in the Kvenmuseet. And it was really cool. It was really nice, like very cozy place, like just by the shore. And there was this old building that we were outside of, and there were like a lot of nice people that came to make food and yeah. Um, and then we had some days teaching in the schools, and then actually we had asked if we could have the flight back at the end of the week. So we were finished teaching on Wednesday, but we weren't flying home before Sunday. So they didn't pay us, like, they didn't pay the hotel stay and everything after Wednesday because then we were finished working, but they just
Mm.
moved the plane tickets a bit further out. And the plane tickets to go north in Norway are so expensive. So it's like,
Yeah.
when you are there, it's really smart to just stay for a while
Yeah,
because
I can imagine.
it's so
Yeah.
much better. Yeah. Yeah, so it was amazing to be there. Like really, I kind of just want to go back, to be honest. I just want to go back. It was sad to just leave. It's so beautiful there. And yeah, for the people that, yeah, again, that aren't Norwegian, it's like Finnmark isn't really that place that you imagine when you look at northern Norway. It's not like the super tall mountains and these like peaks and everything that you can see in Lofoten and all of those more touristy places. But Finnmark is really beautiful in its own way. It's more like there's a lot of plains,
Mm.
basically, and there's also a lot of cliff areas. At least where we
Mm.
were, there's like a lot of these rugged cliffs and everything,
Mm.
like black pointy cliffs everywhere, and a lot of stone basically. And there's a lot of places also in Finnmark where there aren't that many trees. It's very bare, so it's also like you can see very far on these plains. um, yeah, and it's just a very interesting landscape.
It
um,
kind of looked like Iceland in a way.
yeah,
Because
yeah, I think it
Iceland
looks a
also
bit like
has that.
Iceland.
Yeah, they don't have trees in Iceland almost because of the wind, because there's so much wind, the trees can't really grow
Yeah,
upwards.
it's
Yeah.
such a rough climate. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of
Yeah,
cliffs
and
as well.
Finnmark is
So,
like that too. Yeah.
yeah.
And there are places where there are trees, but it's more like inland usually, at
Mm.
least where I have been. It's been like that. And then there's usually mainly birch trees and
Mm.
very small
Ah,
ones.
they are beautiful. I love birch trees.
Yeah, there are these like, I don't know, like crooked ones, the smaller
Yeah.
crooked ones that you have in the
Ah,
mountains. It's
ah.
kind of like these forests of just that. Uh, yeah, and it's so wild. The landscape is so wild out there. It's almost a bit. It's not necessarily a very idyllic landscape. It's more rugged and kind of scary. I don't know. It's not scary,
Mm.
but it's like a bit dramatic
It's very
and
atmospheric in a way. It's like,
yeah, and it doesn't feel like humans should live there in a way, but they still do. And I mean, the Sami people have been living there for ages and traveling around with their reindeer. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a fascinating place.
ah,
And yeah, we traveled also. For example, we traveled from Vadsø, where we were staying and having workshops. We just took the car and we drove to a place that is called Vardø. Sounds kind of similar.
yeah.
Yeah. It's easy to mix them up, like when you talk about it, but it's further out to the sea. So it's basically at the tip kind of the landscape out towards the Barents Sea. And it's this island in the water, so it's not really on the mainland. And there's actually an underwater tunnel going
Wow.
to it, which is strange, but I think it's because there is a military base there. And it looks so strange when you're coming to this place, you're coming over this hill, and it's like you just see this little tiny island out there, and there's these like strange white these strange white buildings there, like
Mm.
domes almost, because of there's like a military base in the middle of the village. And it looks kind of sci-fi because you have like no trees, nothing, and it's just stone everywhere and it's flat, and you just see this island out there, and there's nothing
Wow.
else, just that island, and it looks like somewhere like a room station or something.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and driving there also, you just drive through all of these tiny, tiny, tiny villages. Yeah, and there is this witch monument there. There is like a um, kind of a there's an artwork that has been made by Louis Bourgeois. She's a pretty known artist like
Mm.
worldwide, and then there's also this kind of building that is made from fabric that you're walking inside, and you can look at all the like there's like posters with the convictions that were made about these people that were burned there as witches. There were like
Ah.
91 people were burned on this place as witches from like 1600, 1700.
Oh, yeah.
There's yeah, it was a really powerful artwork, I think. um yeah, it's very interesting. It's just by the sea as well, so you can, when you're walking inside that tunnel almost that is made from fabric, it's just like the walls are vibrating with the
Oh,
wind, and you just hear all the sounds from the waves outside, and it's very intense, like,
wow.
and it's dark in there, just these small lamps. Yeah, I don't know, it's really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we had a really nice time in Finnmark. We traveled also to our friend Ellie, who was on an artist residency in there. So she was in a place that is called Berlevåg, and there is an artist residency there that is called Kvitbrakka, and people can apply from all over the world. So there was her and this other guy, Mustafa, that is based in the UK.
Ah.
Yeah, and he's from Turkey. So it was really fun to be with them as well.
Oh, oh, that's nice. It's so fun that you were there at the exact same time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. We went there and it was beautiful there as well. It's just, yeah, this tiny tiny fishing village, and there's this one road going there, and Berlevåg is almost like at the end of this road. There is one more tiny tiny village after that where there isn't that many people living. It's more like a cabin place. So Berlevåg is kind of at the end of this road. we had to we had to drive there. First we took a bus, and then we had to order a bus to go from Varangerbotn to Berlevåg, and it was like 2 hour drive, I think, 2 hour. And we were like, yeah, I ordered that bus. I called them and everything that they said on the webpage. And when we came there, it was like, it was not a bus, it was like a car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like a small car, a personal car?
Yeah, it was kind of a taxi.
Oh, wow.
So it was Bendik and me and this other guy that was from Berlevåg, actually. So he was also driving home
Ah,
in this car
but he's
to go
hired
there.
by the bus company.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was funny.
Oh.
But it was really nice. He was really, really
Yeah,
kind.
I wish we had solutions like that in Bergen.
Yeah, you
Even
maybe
though
don't
like it
need them
wouldn't
though.
work because it's too many people, but yeah.
Yeah. And then we were home for a week, and then we also traveled to Europe for our friend's wedding in a place in the Alps of France. So and then we also took a train back home from France, which was also really cool. So we stopped in a place that is called Vermont in France to look at the garden of Monet, because he has a garden there in a place called Giverny. And then we also stopped in Belgium after that. We stayed in a really cool Airbnb in Belgium. in like the garden of this artist, this
Mm.
sculpture. And the Airbnb was like super cool. It was like designed very well. Everything, like nothing was a coincidence in there.
Oh wow.
And he makes both furniture and plates and different things. So it was like all of these things that were kind of his um, artworks in a way. And then also he had like some design furniture there, and I was like, yeah, it was really cool. It was really fun.
I was gonna ask you actually because I've never done Airbnb. I've never like yeah, rented an Airbnb before. Do you have any tips? Because I know that there's so many horror stories out there of people renting Airbnbs.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
That people like that the owners just like lock themselves in while you're there and or that it's not what is listed on the website at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really? I've never had a bad experience with Airbnb.
Wow. So what do you do?
I don't know. I just look for the ones that I think are nice, and I go for it. And you look at the reviews. There are reviews on Airbnb.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you would definitely look at the reviews, of course. I always do
Mm.
that. And if they don't have any reviews because they're really new, then sometimes I take a chance and sometimes I don't. But
Mm.
I think Airbnb, also the company Airbnb, you can send them a message and they will help you out if you are struggling. Like if there is something wrong with your host, you will still have help from Airbnb themselves, the customer
Yeah.
service. But maybe the stay will be ruined, of course, because maybe they can't help you with that. But they will
Yeah.
still like maybe you can get your money back or something like
Mm.
that. Yeah, but I mostly look for nice places and I look at the reviews, and if they are mostly positive, then I'm going for it.
Yeah. Because it is less expensive than hotels, right?
Yeah, when you're two people, I would say
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I think when I was traveling alone before, I was usually staying in hostels and I was
Mm.
sleeping in these bunk beds with other people because that's kind of the cheapest then.
Mm.
But that was when I was just one person. And when you are two people, a lot of places in Europe you can find an Airbnb for maybe like, like 800, sometimes 1,000 kroner.
Mm.
And in Europe, the bunk beds in hostels at this point are like
Awful.
500.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
500 kroner. So
Mm.
basically, if we both have a bunk bed, we pay the same thing as we pay for
Mm.
a nice apartment. So it's way better with Airbnb.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it's also because it's super expensive at this point. I'm not sure. Depends on where you're traveling. This is Europe. I would say Europe is it's kind of cheap to find Airbnbs
Mm.
compared to hotels and everything.
Mm.
But yeah, I would say maybe if you travel to like Thailand, maybe going to a hostel is cheaper. I'm not sure. Yeah, but I actually think that Bendik and I talked about it too. That actually traveling with like Airbnbs are the best thing for us because we get to know the people a little bit from
Mm.
staying in Airbnbs. We always have this experience of getting to know the locals a little bit more than if we were staying in a hotel,
Mm.
because we have to like check in with the host and talk with them, and then like there are these conversations going on usually, and you meet the host and they give you the keys,
Yeah.
and it's nice. In one of the places, we actually had some wine in the evening in the garden of one
Ah.
of the hosts, because she was like, we were her first Airbnb guests ever.
Oh
So
wow.
she was like kind of excited that we were there. It was nice. And she had
Oh.
like her friends over in the garden, and we came just to say that we were back, and there was something practical that we were going to ask her. And she was like, do you guys want wine? So we sat there with her and her friends.
Oh,
It
that's so
was really nice.
sweet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And if you are staying in hotels, you don't get any of those
no, it
experiences.
feels very impersonal to stay in hotels. That's why I want to start doing Airbnb instead when I travel because you get a little bit more of a look inside what it's like living in that country as well, or in that city and in that village. So you get more like, yeah, you get deeper into the culture if you do Airbnb
Mm,
compared to like hotels, which look the same wherever you are.
they do. And I would say when I was traveling alone and I was staying in hostels, that is also a good way to travel when you're single, I would say, because it's like
Mm,
you also meet people in hostels. It's also less impersonal. You always meet some travelers,
mm,
and usually the people that work in the hostels as well are a bit more like, I don't know, conversational. You kind of
mm,
get to know them a bit more. So I think that is also really nice. But now, since we are two people, and when you're traveling with your partner, you sometimes
mm,
kind of want to just have your own room. Just
mm,
it's nice, it's comfortable.
mm.
And we're also getting a bit older, so just staying in those bunk beds feels a little bit like we're old people among like all these 19-year-olds. I don't know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah. I know what you mean.
so yeah, so then I feel like Airbnb is a good alternative where you still get all of that more personal feeling, but it's not as, I don't know, uh as backpacker-ish, I
Mm.
would say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and we have found
Cool.
so many nice Airbnbs on this trip. Like the Airbnbs basically make the trip. It's
Mm,
like we actually decided that we can actually sometimes just, maybe if we're going to Europe sometime, maybe we can start by looking on Airbnb for just a nice Airbnb in France, because you have these listings, like sometimes they
mm,
will have these recommended things at the top and you can just find it wherever, like.
mm,
And if you find a nice Airbnb somewhere in France, then maybe it's actually worth like just going to that specific place, even though you have never been to that place,
mm,
just for the Airbnb. And then that will be the start kind of the travel experience.
mm.
Because it's actually so important, I feel like, to have a nice place to stay in. Maybe Airbnb can sponsor us here. It would be
Yes,
nice.
please. Yeah, but I'm getting like kind of travel sick. Like I really want to travel. So now that like you've been traveling, I get like secondhand excitement by just the thought of just traveling around Europe right now. So I've been like thinking about where I'm gonna go like in autumn or next spring, and started thinking like about Airbnbs and stuff. So I'm like,
Nice.
I'm like buzzing about just traveling, just like I know I have to be here for the summer, but after that I'm just I'm so ready.
Mm,
Yeah.
it is really nice. And I think traveling by train is also, generally, it takes more time, but it's also really nice because you have much more of a feeling with the distances also,
Mm.
like how far it is. And
I love taking trains.
yeah, it is really nice. So I think I would actually not recommend, if people are going to take the train, I would not recommend buying the Interrail ticket.
No?
I would actually just buy the tickets for the train rides, basically, because actually nowadays Interrail seems to be much more of a hassle. Like we really felt like it was not very flexible. The whole point with the Interrail ticket is that it's supposed to be flexible and you can just jump on any train. But it's not like that, because you have to reserve a seat in so many of the trains and it's like mandatory. So then you basically have to pay anyways.
Oh.
And usually the reserved seats are kind of like half of the price that you would pay for a full ticket. So it's actually kind of expensive
Wow.
uh, when you have the Interrail ticket and you have to pay half the price as well for the travel. And then since you have reserved a seat, it's not flexible anymore. You have to take that specific train. So in a way, I feel like it wasn't really that practical with the Interrail tickets. It was actually, I think it was less, maybe it was even less expensive if you just don't buy the Interrail ticket, which is
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea. I thought it would be like that's like the way to go when you do Interrail. Like it's
Yeah.
supposed to be cheap for the young people that want to explore Europe
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
train. So it's really weird. I absolutely
Yeah.
thought that that would be a lot more. Yeah. A l-
Yeah, but it's good to be home as well, though, just to have that said, because I feel like it was wonderful being there, but it was also after that when we started traveling home, we had about a week to get home, and we had to sometimes just stay for one night in some places, and it gets kind of exhausting eventually when you're like packing your stuff, unpacking, packing your stuff, unpacking every single day. And usually you have to check out around 11. So it's like you have to get up early, and then you have your bag with you, and you need to like figure out where to put that bag, as long as
Mm.
you're still staying in the city, to just walk around. And I think maybe when you don't have a place to stay, and you're just walking around, it becomes a bit more tiring, I feel like, to travel. So, and also on the way home, it was a bit harder to get to the countryside because we had to go to these big cities to get the trains that were like the fastest and everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, it gets kind of exhausting sometimes for two countryside people to be in these big
In the big
cities.
city, yeah.
Whew, and all the tourists and all the people, and also like new countries every day, like figuring out new countries.
New languages, new customs, new, yeah, everything.
Yeah, and also the train stations and how they work is so different from country to country. So some places are so confusing, and some places are really easy to understand. Yeah, so it was like we were kind of tired when we got to Berlin. We were like, "Whew, gosh, what are we gonna do here?" Like, I don't know. We stayed in this hostel as well that was like really big hostel, and we had our own room, but it was like the downstairs reception just smelled of beer and
Uh,
cigarettes, and
Classic
the
Berlin.
yeah yeah
That's Berlin, it's beer.
yeah. And also the hallway up where we were staying smelled of pee, and the
Hmm.
shower smelled of pee. I was like, ugh, yeah, I'm too old for this. I'm too old for this.
Yeah, yeah.
I've done this
Oh,
many times before, and I'm kind of done with it. Yeah.
but it is fascinating. Like when me and Leo, my boyfriend, went to London in February. It's so weird to go from a quiet, like Bergen is pretty quiet, even though it is the second largest city. It's so quiet in Bergen compared to big cities. So just going to London, it is like that overstimulation kind of thing that you get kind of overwhelmed just being around that many people for, like, we weren't there for that long. Even I think we were there for 5 or 4 days, and still, like, it felt like on that last day I was like, that's too much noise, too much people. So I can't imagine like traveling from place to place and then constantly being surrounded by people, as well as the stress of actually traveling.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
And I think we kind of felt like it was like, oh, this is why we live in the countryside.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, but what happened to your leg?
Oh yeah, it was in France. Yeah, we were biking around these villages in France, and there was like this tiny little village. There was no people in the street, and I was like, "Oh, let's bike down here, because then we can just bike to the road we're going to, but just through the village, because I really want to see this village. It looks really nice." And there was no people, nothing, and we're just like biking, and suddenly this huge plank just lands on my leg from out of thin air.
Wow.
Because we biked underneath a roof where there was like some construction workers working, and I mean, I didn't really think that much about it because I'm not used to people just throwing things off the roof when they're working on the roof. But I'm not sure if they threw it or they lost the plank or something.
Mm.
And yeah, it fell on me because I was there in that specific moment that the plank
Wow.
fell. And like my leg was kind of numb from it. So I didn't really, I think I had like a lot of adrenaline, so I didn't really feel the
Yeah,
pain that
I
much.
mean,
But
it must be terrifying when something just like
yeah.
hits you from above. It's kind of like, ah. Were you biking at the same time as well?
Yeah, I was biking, yeah.
I would have crashed. I would have just like, oh,
It was fine. And also, like, it was a pretty big plank, and it hurt my leg pretty badly, but it could have been so much worse. It could have been
yeah.
way bigger, and it could have been like
Could it
brick
hit your
or
head?
just like, yeah, something. And I had a helmet on, actually. So
Okay, yeah, good.
it was actually, that's why you wear a helmet when you're biking, people.
Yes.
So that when
Yeah.
people throw something off the roof, you won't get it in your head. It's nice. I now learned this.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
No, but it was kind of scary. I was a bit in shock. But we just stopped, and I was bleeding, and I had this big, I don't know, kind of cut. It was like, I don't know what you call it. Cut.
Mm, it's a
A
cut.
cut. Yeah,
Yeah.
in my leg. And yeah. And it all felt kind of numb. I couldn't really feel anything around that area.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was there was this young guy that climbed down from the roof, and he was really feeling bad. I think
Oh.
he was probably like 18 years old or something like that,
Oh
and
no.
seemed so sad. He was like, "Désolé, désolé," and
Oh.
I didn't even know what that meant, but I was like, I'm assuming you're saying I'm
I
sorry.
think yeah, it means sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I checked afterwards, but it's
Mm,
like, yeah, and yeah, he didn't speak any English. But I was just like, yeah, it's fine. Like, no
yeah, yeah,
worries.
yeah.
We're good.
Oh,
And he gave me some paper. Like, he didn't have anything, to give me. Like, it was just this
yeah.
paper, and I was just like putting on this paper, and it was just like bleeding through. And
Oh
he
my
gave
god.
me more paper.
Do you still have the cut on your leg?
Yeah, yeah. I still have a bruise, but it's healing really well.
Oh,
So
wow.
but it was fine. Like, I was kind of laughing about it
Yeah.
kind of fast afterwards. It was just kind of funny also. Like,
Yeah. Oh my god.
yeah, and then we said bye to this very sorry guy, and we biked through a lot of fields to get to another village that we were not really planning on going to, but we went there because they had the pharmacy. And then I just cleaned the wound, and I put on like a bandage, and then
Mm.
we went on with our day.
Yeah. That's the way to do
So
it.
yeah.
Near death experience, and then you just like continue on, just keep
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
biking.
You just laugh about it. Ha 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 ha. Cheated death today.
Yes. Cheated death in France.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, it was
wow.
fun. Has there been anything else going on in Bergen though in your life? Something new, or have you just been working?
I've been working a lot, like, but for the past weekend, I finally got some time to. Well, on Sunday we walked Vidden, which
Oh
is like
yeah.
the long hike that goes from Mount Ulriken to Mount Fløyen. But we
Mm,
decided that we would do Mount Ulriken, Mount Fløyen, Sandviksfjellet, which is another mountain that leads
mm.
down to where we live. So, and we hadn't, like, Leo hasn't done the gondola. He hadn't done the gondola before. That brings you up
Oh,
to Mount Ulriken. And
nice.
I haven't done the new one. I only did the old one. That was like really rusty old, like tin
Cringe, I think.
can. It was so old.
I've not done the new one either. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we did that, and it was beautiful. And it was such a sunny day on Sunday. It was 27 degrees. It was so nice. And so we hiked from Ulriken, and we saw ravens, wild ravens. It was, I was like, I imagined like the moment when we saw them, they were really close. So it just flew like right above us. And if it had been a movie, I would have been silently starstruck by this raven that flew above me. But instead, I in Norwegian said, "Oh, what the fuck? That's a raven!" So it was kind of ruined by my swearing. Um, and I had this I had this personal project that, like, whenever I saw one of those poles with a sign on them
Hmm.
on our hike, I would do like a pole move.
Yeah, yeah,
I sent you the pictures
yeah.
because
Awesome.
it started like immediately after we went from Ulriken, that like the station where you land with the gondola. I saw the first signpost, and I was like, I wonder if I can do like an invert on that one. And Leo was like, try it. I'll take a picture. So I tried, and then it worked. So I was like, oh, all right, I'm gonna do that again somewhere else. So on the fourth one, I was like, take a picture. He was like, again, again. Okay. Oh, but it was such a nice hike. It took us 8 hours altogether.
It
and we
is
stopped.
really nice, that
It's a
hike.
beautiful, beautiful hike. I recommend it to anyone that stopped by Bergen and has the time to do a proper hike of the mountains. You do Vidden. It is stunning.
Yeah, and also because it's not really that physically challenging in the
No,
sense that you're not walking upwards that
mm,
much. You're just kind of
it's
walking
mostly flat.
flat, but it's
Mm,
just it takes a while,
mm,
and it feels kind of meditative. I feel like you're
mm.
just like
You zone out.
walking. Yeah, you zone out a bit, and it's
Yeah,
this state.
yeah.
Walking Vidden is this other state,
It's a state of mind.
this other
It's an
state of mind.
experience. But it was. I had completely
Yeah.
forgotten how beautiful Vidden is.
Mm,
I try to do that hike at least once a year, but I don't think I managed to do it last year. So it felt
mm,
really nice to do it this year, and I had this personal growth kind of thing, or like a state of whatever, like
mm,
carelessness in a way, because it was so hot, right? It was really hot on Sunday,
mm.
and my shorts, I had like hiking shorts on, but they had started to rub in between my, like on my thighs, because it
Yeah.
is with a zipper, so I can like put the legs on the shorts if I need to, if it got cold. So I brought like the legs for the shorts to make it
Mm,
into pants. But so the zipper where like the legs would attach got kind of like rubbed against my thighs all the time.
ow.
And I was wearing my bikini, like panties, no,
Hmm.
was it, yeah,
Yeah.
on underneath my shorts. So at one point it was just so hot, and there was like not that many people around, so I just started hiking just in my bikini like panties, and it felt so liberating to just be like whatever. And I was wearing like a bikini top, and it was just like I was hiking with a big backpack and like hiking boots and just like a bikini, and I just felt so badass in a way.
That's so nice.
And it's so weird because like I've always been a little bit like self-conscious about how I appear to other people, and it's I've never been totally comfortable with my body until now. With like at this moment I was just like, this is the most freeing thing I've done in a while. So it
That's wonderful.
felt amazing. Yeah.
Maybe you should do it in the bikini every time.
Yeah. I totally like I would do this every time if I could. If I dare the next time to just like start the hike in a bikini, but that's the thing. I'm scared that people will look at me like, "Oh, she's showing off," or like I don't have much to show off. I am very like I don't have a lot, but it is
Yeah, you
that kind of
do.
like, nah, but you know what I
You're
mean.
beautiful. Like that's. I mean, like, does it matter if you have like I don't know? That doesn't matter.
No, no, it doesn't really matter. But it is that kind of like, I don't know. I'm just always scared what people think of me, but at that moment I
Mm.
didn't, and it felt really nice. It felt like
Oh,
I've grown up in a way. Like I'm safe with like myself. It doesn't really matter what other people think. So
I love
it
that.
felt really nice. Yeah.
I actually saw this woman the other day in the city center here.
Mm,
In the park, there's a park in the middle of the town where I live.
yeah.
It was really funny. It was really cool. I like her. She was like walking her dog in the middle of the town
Yeah.
in a bikini. She was just owning it. Like, it
Ah, I love that. Yeah,
was so funny. It's so
but
nice.
it's so cool because that's the thing. I think that inspired me as well because earlier on the hike on Vidden, I think it I think she might have been like 60 or 70, and she was hiking in a bikini. She had like bikini panties and just like a hip flask and like a sports bra. And she was just like power walking on Vidden, and I was like, that is the coolest woman ever. Like
That's really cool.
yeah, she was just owning it. She was just like, oh, I want to be comfortable. I'm doing my thing. I don't care what people if people are looking at me. I'm hiking. And it was
Mm.
after that I was like, "Yeah, she did it. I
Why
can
can't
do
you?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Power to you, woman. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
nice.
but that's the thing. It's kind of like taking ownership of your own body in a way, you know?
Yeah, and I think one of the yeah, I felt like I feel like that's also sometimes when you go like skinny dipping with
Yeah,
people.
I was
It's kind
just
of the
about to say
same
because
thing.
you do that.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same thing. I feel like because I don't know, really without like any clothes on, most people are just normal, like
Yeah,
normal looking, and there's
yeah,
something about that that is actually really comforting in a way.
mm,
And there's also this, I think the nice thing is also that there's nothing sexual about it, and you can just be naked, and you're just naked. It's not like
that's
you're
the
just
thing.
gonna take a swim.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was feeling too. That even though I'm wearing a bikini, there's nothing sexual about me in this moment because I'm
Yeah.
hiking. I'm just like living life. I'm not doing
Mm,
this to be sexual. And I think,
mm.
especially after doing pole for a while now, I get so used to being in front of other people, doing like strength exercises with little clothes on. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
feel like I'm being sexualized by the people around me when I'm wearing like a bikini because
Mm,
it is a way of training. It is like our
yeah.
exercise.
It's a
So,
workout. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It can feel very claustrophobic in a way.
yeah,
Living
I
in this
agree.
world where whenever you take like some clothes off, you are immediately sexualized.
Yeah,
Super frustrating.
it is. It is. So
Yeah.
being able to feel like that wasn't the case at that moment was
Mm,
very nice feeling.
that's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some friends visiting me this weekend, or not really some friends, actually a lot of friends. So
Yeah?
like from my writer studies,
Mhm.
the people that were here in this town with me studying writing, almost all of them came
So how
this
many?
weekend, like seven.
Wow!
Yeah, it was a festival. It was really a festival. There were just so many people there. Like this house is a house, but it's it's a tiny one. Like,
Yeah.
and there
Where
were
did they
like some
stay?
all over the floor basically, and one of them stayed in a hammock on the side here, and
Oh,
one guy put up a tent, so some of them tried to stay in that, but it was too hot in the morning.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was amazing. It was so much fun. I had the best time. I still feel sad that they have left. Really, it's like
Oh.
kind of low now.
Yeah, but I can imagine like after doing like going up north of Norway and then traveling to France and through Europe and now having so many people around you in the house, it must feel kind of quiet now, right?
It is. It's kind of strange. It's nice to relax a bit, but I also have a lot of work, so it feels kind of like now the normal day is kicking in. Like
Mm,
the everyday life, and yeah, it's okay. I like my
mm,
everyday life, but it was also really nice to just feel like things were very different for a while.
mm.
It's sometimes really nice to just shake things up
Yeah.
and just do something differently. But yeah, actually, that was one thing that I was gonna say about the people that came visiting was that we actually went skinny dipping in the night.
Ah,
It was nice.
yes.
And it's been such a long time since I've been doing that too, and it's just a good feeling.
It
Yeah,
is.
it is. It's
I
freeing.
agree.
Yeah. Mm. That is
Mm,
also something that is wonderful about the yeah nature here, and yeah, you can hide away somewhere.
mm. You
Mm.
can have your private like spots, like your private time.
Yeah, you can.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, but I also feel like I want to live in a big city sometimes when I'm there as well. Like when we were in Paris in the beginning of the travel, I was like, that feeling that you just want to have an apartment in Paris.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Baguettes.
there. It's so there.
Eating macarons every day.
Oh yeah, just
Yeah.
being in the middle of this artist life, drinking wine. I know it's not like that in the real world, but it's
Mm.
just. we all have this romantic view of having an apartment somewhere in one of these big European cities and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
living
No,
that
I
life. It's
agree.
just such a different life. And I want that too, you know, I want everything.
And it is kind of, you get the idea that that would solve everything of your creative, like your inspirations and stuff when you move to a new place that has the aesthetic that you're looking for. But it doesn't really change, right? You create your inspiration and stuff where you are.
And I know that my creativity is the strongest when I'm here
Mm,
because it's just more time for it.
mm,
And for me, that's actually the most important thing. And also not that much like distractions and things and people and noises and everything. It actually makes me less creative though.
mm.
So I think actually I wouldn't be that creative if I lived in
No.
Berlin or Paris, but I think I would still have a great year or
Yeah.
a great few,
Yeah.
few years, of my life living there. So yeah, it's hard. Like I'm soon 30, and
Yes,
there's so many
I
things I want
know.
to do.
It's not that long to your birthday, Maria.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm gonna be 29 this year. Just
Yeah.
mind you, I'm not 30 yet, but it's still like.
It's not that long. A year
Hmm.
passes by so quickly. It's crazy.
It is. I was in Berlin. I was thinking about it. It was like last time I was here was 8 years ago. What?
You were 20?
Yeah. Crazy,
Oh,
huh? It's just like, but that feels like me yesterday. That
yeah.
really feels like me yesterday. It's like, oh, but it can't be that long ago. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so strange. And it was before Bendik as well,
Mm,
which was also strange. And yeah, I had these flashbacks everywhere I went.
yeah.
Like, oh, that's where we were, and like suddenly I was like, shit, life has gone by. Life has
Mm.
just flown by. And here I am feeling like it was yesterday and kind of scared about at how fast it's flown by, really.
Oh, same, same. Sometimes I catch myself just like falling into like a mind spiral that like time goes by too quickly and there's too much I want to do before like I get too old. I know it's no
Yeah,
such thing as too
same.
old, but it is that like this everyone has that list of things you want to do or things you want to experience. And
Hmm.
time is so precious. It just like flows by so quickly. So we need to just
Yeah.
like, yeah, take advantage of the time we have.
Yeah, we do. And I think I felt the same. I felt like actually there are some things that is nice to do when you're younger because
Mm.
actually some things with travel will change as you get older. Like some of the things that you used to do that would be very normal for a young 20-year-old person to do will actually be a bit strange to do now. Like it would actually be a bit like cringy to do now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh like you can still do it, but I
But it's
mean
also,
it becomes a different thing.
and it's also energy wise, you know, like walking around a city for 10 to 12 hours a day. It gets harder the older you get. When you're young, you don't pay attention to the blisters on your feet and you don't like feel that
Yeah.
hungry and you don't feel that like drained. But the
Are
older
you
you
sure
get,
though? Because I feel like traveling with the Bendix mother to like Venice, for example. I mean,
yeah.
she has more energy than me, and she's like 70. So
Okay, well, it can like I hope
you have a lot of
I
energy.
hope
Like you
yes.
train so many times a week. Like, come on, you're not losing energy. You're gaining energy by every
Okay,
year. I
yeah.
feel like.
I'm at my best right now, health-wise and like yeah, fitness-wise, yes. But still, there's something about it. Like when I was younger, my focus was so different as well when I was traveling because it was about finding like a cool pub or finding a cool club to like drink and party. And now it's about going to museums and going hiking
Yes.
and finding nice places to eat really good food. Well,
Yeah,
back
yeah,
then
yeah,
it
yeah.
was like I don't need to eat, I just need a beer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. And I actually, that was also what I felt like. I was like, we have just been doing all of those museum things and all that stuff. But I felt like this 20-year-old me that just wanted to go and have a beer, I still feel like I'm that person as well, you know? Like,
Yeah.
felt kind of sad in a way that I was not doing any of that because, in a way, I still want to. I still want to do that. I still want to have
Yeah.
that party mindset and just have fun and just be a bit more like reckless and I just feel like I'm so adult. I don't want to be that adult really. I just
Well, you don't have
but
to be
it's
an adult. You can still be childish.
we were last time I was in Berlin, I was I think going out almost every night and we're just like dancing until 7 in the morning
Oh Jesus. Yeah.
and it was so much fun. It was so much fun. It's like it was amazing. That week is still like it was amazing. And I feel like it was just such a contrast to what we were doing now, I feel like. And it's just normal that it's like that because it depends on who you're traveling with,
Mm.
but it's also feeling like maybe it's because I'm getting older and suddenly we're not doing these things anymore and I don't want to stop. I want to do it still like
Are you having a midlife crisis, Maria?
totally. Yeah.
I hope your midlife is not like at 29. I hope you have a lot more time than 29.
Yeah, me too. I think I hope so. Yeah.
Oh.
Maybe yeah, I felt better after the my friends came visiting this weekend and it was
And then
more
you can
like that.
party.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt better. I think it is because I live in the countryside as well, Anna. I feel like it's because I live here and it's very little of that, you know? It's
Yeah.
very, very little of that in my life. And I think if it had been more normal for me to just go out and have a beer with my friends, it would be less of a thing. But it's just when you live here, that's something that you kind of accept that you're not going to do that much
Yeah.
and it's fine. I'm not really sad about it. I'm just some things you have to kind of like sacrifice to live in the countryside, but it's also like sometimes I just miss it a little bit. I
Yeah.
think, yeah,
I get that.
yeah,
It is that kind of feeling like the grass is always greener somewhere else. So, like, when you're here, you want to be there, and when you're here, you want to be there. It's that,
yeah.
yeah. I think it's
And I
just a
guess it's
human
more like
experience.
everywhere. I feel like grass isn't greener because I want to stay here, but it's more like everywhere has its own set of flowers, and
Yeah. I want those flowers.
yeah. I want all of them in my bouquet, you know, like I
Yeah,
want all of
yeah.
them on my table.
I like this metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm sorry, but I actually have to go because I'm
Yeah.
gonna be a witness to my friends getting married in half
Ooh.
an hour.
And I
So
have to open up shop, so
yeah, I hope you will still have a lot of customers.
thank you.
Yeah, I hope July will be even better than
Yeah.
June.
And I hope both
Might
of
be.
the I hope the groom and the bride says yes, both of them.
Yeah, I
Because
hope so too.
would be
It'll be a
would be a
sad day
crisis if
otherwise.
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but thank
Definitely.
you so much, Maria. I've missed you.
Same. I missed you too.
Hmm.
And we will be back next time in 2 weeks with another more like typical episode, I guess.
Mm.
We just
Yes.
felt like we needed to have a little bit of a chat,
Yeah.
basically.
A little bit of a
Yeah.
rambly episode.
Rambly, yeah. If you like this style of podcast, please let us know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we will keep going with our other
Yes.
types of podcasts.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. And until next time.
Bye.
Bye.